Ishuboy and Guru in the house, back with another bang on video. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for helping me again. Once again, I would really like to thank you guys for helping me reach 1 million total views on my channel. But moving on with the first news of the day, Atletico Madrid are currently leading the transfer race for Alexandre Lacazette. Well, Atletico have been keeping a keen eye on the Arsenal striker as Diego Simeone plans a shake-up at the Wanda Metropolitano. Well, moving on. Internacional wants to receive at least 15 million euros for centre-back Bruno Fuchs, who's linked to Arsenal a few days back. The Brazilian club are suffering from a financial crisis and need to make at least one major sale to balance the books. Well, let's see if that is going to be happening for Arsenal or not. Moving on. Well, just a gist of it, Lucas Torreira has opened up about his future. He says, right now my head is in Europe and I want to stay for a while, but I have that desire and dream to go to Boca Juniors and not just to retire, but to compete and feel what Boca world is like. Now I don't mind him. I don't mind him leaving Arsenal as well because it's his choice. And if he's happy, he's going to help us. If he's not happy, he's going to help the team that he will be happy to go to. But moving on, more on that. It's actually a very vast interview where he speaks about a lot of things. But moving on, let's talk about Dennis Bergkamp's analysis about Mikel Arteta and the current state of affairs at Arsenal. Dennis Bergkamp says, I watched Arteta's first game in charge at home against Chelsea. In that game, it was clear to see what his intentions were with the team. The front four would chase the ball and put pressure on the opponents, but the midfield stayed behind. Also, talking about Arteta improving players' positioning, he says he's working on it, but it needs time and maybe different players. Slowly, you can see them trying to play a possession game. Everyone on the ball has three options, triangles on the pitch. It's much better than before. And he further went on saying that there was a big hole as a result. I don't know if you remember the AC Milan of Arrigo Sacchi with Van Basten, Ruud Gullit, and Frank Rijkaard. In training, there are ropes between them, so the distance between the players was always similar on the pitch. Bergkamp speaking about more on it, he says he's working on it, but it needs time and maybe different players. Slowly, you can see them trying to play a possession game. So it's clearly talking about Arteta's philosophy. Bergkamp said it's a different culture which will take time. You have to put the hours in, like how we did with Arsene. Unbelievable, isn't it? So even Dennis Bergkamp says that Arteta ball is the way to go forward. So let's see if that's going to be happening or not. And we must put our faith in Arteta. Moving on, well, Hector Bellerin, who is always a classy person in terms of speaking out what he feels like. You know, there are protests that the state is failing black people. Here's what he posted. He says, we're all busy and worried about our lives and those of the ones close to us. Meanwhile, in parts of the world which most countries look up to, we still fail massively to accomplish what should be normal nowadays and seems it's just getting worse. Equality and therefore racism. Well, that's a very strong point. And Hector, actually, I've seen that he raises these kinds of issues and he speaks up for it. I think that's my captain material right there. Well, moving on. Barcelona want just £9 million to take Phil Coutinho on loan. The 27-year-old has had a nightmarish season and since signing for Barcelona in January 2018 and has spent this term on loan at Bayern Munich. He has attracted interest from Arsenal and Chelsea. Let's see who could sign them. Moving on. Ian Wright has written of how he was left tired and drained by the death of George Floyd that has sparked protests across the United States of America. The video footage of the incident showed Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin pressing his knee against the neck of Floyd, 46, for several minutes while he was pinned to the ground. After viewing the upsetting clip online, the former Arsenal and England star Ian Wright said he was thinking of taking a break from social media amid the racism storm surrounding the incident. He tweeted, I'm tired, we're tired. The comments, the replies every day explaining ourselves. That video just drained, maybe time for a bit of break. And I can feel him, I can feel the tension, I can feel the disgust, I can feel that these things happen in 2020 and it is gut-wrenching. Moving on, Federico Bernardeschi, ladies and gentlemen, could be primed for a move to the Premier League this summer. According to certain reports in Italy, Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal are thought to have the winger on their radar ahead of the crucial couple of months in his Juventus career. Since Maurizio Sarri's arrival at the start of the season, Bernardeschi has featured less prominently than under former boss Massimiliano Allegri. And he may soon find himself surplus to requirements, particularly with the promising midfielder Dejan Kulusevski arriving from Parma. And so Bernardeschi will want to move to England if he leaves Juventus. While the 26-year-old reportedly feels ready to test himself in a new country, and Premier League clubs are lining up to make an offer for the wonderful Italian talent. Well, moving on. Leicester City and Chelsea are favourites to clinch Premier League top 4 spots. Well, Leicester City and Chelsea are odds on to clinch top 4 spots with Manchester United, Wolves, Tottenham, Sheffield United and Arsenal in the chasing pack, according to a lot of publications. Norwich, Aston Villa and Bournemouth are all odds on to be relegated from the Premier League this season. But it is really interesting to see how Eddie Howe's team will get relegated or not. Well, moving on. Lucas Herrera has revealed his burning passion to play for Boca Juniors. Here's the whole thing that he said. He says, I imagine a Copa Libertadores night at the Bombonera wearing Boca's shirt, of course. Right now my head is in Europe and I was to stay for a while. But I have that desire and dream to go to Boca, and not just to retire, but to compete and feel what the Boca world is. My family is big soccer fans, and we Uruguayans watch a lot of Argentine football. It is one of the most important in South America, very passionate. So from a very young age, this affection, I had to go to Madrid final where River Plate beat Boca. And when the game ended, I thought I wasn't going to be so mad, but I was very sad for the defeat and for how the game had been. It was a time I got to see Boca as a fan. It is true that I have great affection for the club, and hopefully it will be forever. In Fray Bentos, I have many friends who are fans of Boca. So this is what he actually meant about talking about Boca Juniors. But moving on, Arsenal's latest signing, George Lewis, is 19-year-old who was born in Rwanda but is also eligible to represent Norway at international level. The Gunners appear to have held an interest for a while, with the player's agent having posted on Instagram from the Emirates in early March. Arsenal youth blogger George Baird also reported in April that the player confirmed on an Instagram live that the move would be going ahead. The pursuit came as a shock to many in Norway, with Lewis having been plying his trade in their third tier prior to his dream Arsenal transfer move. Moving on, the last news. Dimitar Berbatov has given his view on Felipe Coutinho's transfer situation. He says, there have been a lot of Premier League clubs linked with him, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle and even Manchester United, but sometimes the obvious choice isn't always the correct one. Everyone thought he would do great when he moved to Barcelona, but it didn't work out. Sometimes you need to step back to go forwards. He will go to a good team, there is no question about that, but he needs the trust of a manager to believe in him and make him the main man so that he can play calm and be free to do what he does. Other people will see him linked with a move to United and they will point out his connections with Liverpool and how he would never be forgiven if he switched to Old Trafford. But honestly, United don't need him right now. Well, these were the news of the day. I hope you enjoyed whatever came your way. All the views and news and everything about Arsenal comes to this platform every single day, twice. So please help me by subscribing if you haven't. And we could reach 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Please help me reach that target. And make sure you subscribe so that you get daily Arsenal content twice. I will see you in my next video. Until then, cheers. And don't forget to subscribe.